Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Great Awakening Generator. You're here with Kirsty with our Neurodiversity Controversy segment. And I'd like to introduce Declan and Annette Lavery. Welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Kirsty. Nice to be here. Declan,
Yeah.
what do you want to say to Kirsty?
Hi, Kirsty.
Hi, Kirsty.
Hi. Yeah, so we're going to be talking a little bit about Declan and Annette's experience with autism, the experience of that, and of dyspraxia, which often comes along with that diagnosis and is a lot to do with gross motor control. You can add more detail to that, yeah, if you'd like. And so we're going to be specifically looking at how that affects communication, and one of the ways that Declan uses to communicate, which is RPM, which stands for Rapid Prompting Method. That's right, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And so I wondered if you could give a really broad overview of what that means, RPM.
Okay, so rapid prompting method is a method that was designed by Soma, and forgive me, I can't really pronounce her surname, but
neither.
a lovely Indian lady who had her son diagnosed with autism, Tito, and there was a BBC documentary that I seen years ago of her holding up a piece of paper with the alphabet on it and getting him to spell and stuff, because she knew he understood. It was just a matter of being able to try and get that information out of him. So it is basically a motor planning issue that autism has. So they have a disconnect between their body and their brain. The brain knows exactly what they need to do. It's getting their bodies to do what they want. So using a letterboard like this is an advanced one, they learn motor planning, they learn the motor skills, they know where to touch the letters. This isn't it's not a test. It's not finding out how clever they are. It is basically prompting the motor so that they can go on and do other things in their life as well. Declan, sit up nice and tall. So yeah, so that's the kind of overview of RPM. It starts off as an educational tool. So you would do a lesson first, and within a lesson you would ask known questions. So it starts off with 3 stencils, and I'm sorry, I haven't got them, I can get them in a moment, where there's A to I and then the next set of letters, and it's a matter of holding up that particular board with the letter that's on it for that for the answer. So, you know, a few years ago I wrote a lesson on legend or science, you decide, and it's about the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. So the first, you know, saying that it's actually in County Antrim is one of the questions. So where is the county? And you would hold up the letterboard that had the N in it, and you'd prompt their motor to touch the N, and then the R, O, and then the R, and you kind of build that skill. Quite often they might poke a neighbouring letter, and we never say, no, that's wrong. It says neighbour or you know, nice try, let's do that one again. So it is hard for them because they have to sit still and prompt, and you have
10 past 10.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Constantly prompting their body to do that. 35, yeah. So it starts off like that, with known questions, and then you evolve into maybe there's a possible 2 answers in that particular paragraph. And you build up those skills until they are able to touch the letters no problem at all. And then you progress to a 26-letter board where there's more options, and then eventually to a laminated board like this, and then keyboard. And at the moment we're working on speech.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I think obviously if someone has an autism diagnosis, the degree of dyspraxia varies a lot. Some people experience that a lot more than others. And it's just so fascinating to know. And so you know, in some ways upsetting to know that there could be a lot of people out there who are able to communicate, but they don't have the right tools.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it's heartbreaking to, you know, to hear that there are so many people locked inside their world, and because they can't communicate like you and I, they're considered as there's not much going on. And in which case we all know that there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Giving them those tools to be able to express themselves. And it does take time, and it takes energy and effort and consistency in order to give that voice to your child. So it wasn't pretty to start with, believe you me. But you know, I was determined to give Declan a voice, and he's got so much to offer. So so yeah, I wasn't going to let him sit in silence. So yeah, I gave it a go.
How old was Declan when you discovered?
He was 13.
13, yeah.
So with, you know, from his diagnosis at 2, you know, 11 years of him pushing and pulling and having meltdowns because he wasn't able to communicate what his needs were, constantly guessing. If I had a crystal ball, Kirsty, in those early days, it would have been great, but life's not like that, and it's just yeah. So it was a real blessing that we found this method, and I put the effort in, and we had practitioner down several times, and we've got another one coming in November, just to give kids the opportunities to work with someone that has been trained on the SOMA. And it's not just the letterboard, because SOMA has got Tito, who's now in his 30s and is a published author and writer, and he's poet and writer, and for someone that has actually trialed and tested these things on her own son and is able to go, well, this is what happened for Tito, and try and expand it and help others in that light. It's invaluable to have another parent that has kind of paved the way almost, to help others. And it's more than letterboards. It's about speech. It's you know, going through those various stages of holding the letterboard in front of them and then putting it on the table. And of course, that's a very different skill set, because it's a different ocular motor you're using as to how holding something in front and then all of a sudden down. And then now we're kind of trying to, when he first points to a letter and maybe a second letter, then I drop the board and ask him to spell it verbally and then say it. So we're trying to kind of reduce that prompt, because it is only a prompt, the letterboard. That's why it's called rapid prompting method, in order to develop that speech, because of course, you know, that whole what we take for granted and able to talk is a lot of hard work for these guys.
It's really a complex system of all the muscles, all the motor control, as you say. We definitely take it for granted. And the same with visual skills. That's a lot of fine
like
motor as well.
Tracking for reading, they really struggle. And another point she's got is that you put a bright coloured ruler under, you know, under the line that you're reading, and get them to kind of slowly kind of work that. Declan can read everything. You know, it's the motor voice speech that he struggles with. So sometimes can be a bit lazy. We're reading a book and I'll get him to say, come on, you can read that, and he goes, no, Mum, read. And it's what they used to. So yeah,
we all have times where we think, no, I can't be bothered, that's too much. So
it's too much going on.
It's a lot. And so it sounds like you're already bringing awareness of this method to other people. But how did you initially find out about it?
Another mum and I did a bit, well, obviously seen SOMA on the TV, and kind of at that point I didn't think Declan was ready, so I left it for a little while, and then another mum and I kind of looked. We found a practitioner going to Australia, and so we decided we'd join and go as observers. So we watched this practitioner work with kids, and one of them really resonated with me because he was very similar to Declan. And he would be sitting in his chair, stimming, saying, 9 little monkeys, you know, jumping on the bed, while she was completely reading a complex paragraph about Greek mythology, and she held up the board and he just spelled out the answer. And it was like, oh my goodness, like scripting, all of that stuff happens, the stimming. It doesn't mean to say that they're not actually not listening. And what does listening look like? I mean, at school, we're told we have to sit on the mat, fold our arms. For these guys, that's just not possible. And we were just so blown away by the 3 days. We were literally emotionally exhausted from watching these kids and realizing the potential in our own. We came back and put a presentation together. And you're okay. You're okay. I know I'm talking a lot. You're all right. Sit up nice and tall. That's it. Thank you. And did a presentation. We went to a couple of support groups for autism and did a presentation and basically sold it to 6 families. So they trusted us and our word. And then we got the practitioner down from America and did our first workshop, and it just blew our mind with what our kids were able to tell her. Initially, obviously, because they know how to work the boards, she was able to get so much more out of it when I first started. But as you learn, because it is about us learning as the mum or caregiver or whatever, these guys already know what they need to do. We just need to prompt them. Yeah, it was just incredible. One of the first lessons she did was on Jacques Cousteau. And she asked Declan at the end, what is your legacy? I didn't even know he knew the word legacy. And he said, my promise to you is to help other autistics find their voice too. Well, you literally couldn't hear a pin drop in that room. It just went silent when he spelt that out. And yeah, he did have some dysregulation like we're having now. But you just keep prompting the body. You just keep going and going until he was done. And that's what he said.
Amazing. It's just such precious information to share, to change people's perceptions and challenge the assumptions about what their child or anyone else is capable of.
That's right. Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, so we've got some questions we asked Declan in advance. So will it work best if I read out both the question and the answer, or what works for you guys?
What would you like? Would you like to read would you like to read your answers? Yeah. Would you like to read your answers so you can get your body in control? Yeah. Okay. So Kirsty will read the question and then you can read what you had already prepared. Okay. All right. So Kirsty will ask the question. Yeah.
So the first question, what does it mean to you to have autism or be autistic?
Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, remember you answered this earlier. Okay, nice and loud. Remember to breathe in.
It means I can do the things that neurotypical people
Nice and loud.
take for granted, i.e., I may never be able to drive a car.
Breathe in. Keep going.
It takes hard work for my body to stay in control.
Yeah, going.
I see the world through a different lens. Most people complicate things. I see things more simplistically.
Yeah, simplistically.
I certainly know when people are genuine and have my back.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and then what does it feel like to experience dyspraxia?
Okay, that's that. Yeah, so we'll take that one off. Okay, so this was your question. So what is it?
It is hard some days. My brain knows what I need to do, but my body gets stuck. That's when I need lots of protein to coach my motor plan.
Okay. And then the third question, what did you think when you were first introduced to RPM? How was the process of learning for you?
Right, nice and tall. Okay. Right, now, my side voice.
It was hard and my body persisted, but inside I wanted to show people it's capable of.
Okay, breathe in. You're okay. You got this. You're okay. I know. You're okay. Hey, you've got this. All right, we're just reading. That's all we're doing. Okay, all right.
It wasn't pretty to start with, and it was hard work for both me and my mom.
Nice and loud.
The process of learning was tricky as people thought I didn't understand and talked down to me. Little did they know that I was taking everything in.
Yeah.
Go, keep going. Rest of your answer.
I was never really included in what the other kids were learning, and so as I was only able to demonstrate my understanding, and that was frustrating.
Yep. Tip back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has RPM changed your life?
Okay, this one.
It has opened up my world. I am able to express my thoughts, feelings, and aspirations. My world isn't dark anymore.
Yeah. And then, have you gotten to know many other lettered boarders?
3 more. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
This one.
If so, what similarities or differences have you noted in your journeys?
Okay, nice and loud.
Yes, I have. But most of them are in the British.
Well, they're in America,
Right?
but yeah, carry on.
We are somewhat similar, as we want to have a voice in this world. Our aspirations are different, and so are our trigger. But all we want is people to look past what our bodies are doing and listen to the words we spell. We just want to be included, like neurotypical.
Okay, included, breath.
Like other neurotypical.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Oh, sorry, didn't take that one. You're okay. Okay.
Oh, question 6. Any hidden gifts in your experience of autism?
What you didn't get?
I see things differently to others, more simplistically.
Simplistically, yeah.
To me, that is a gift.
To me, that is a gift.
Yeah, being present. Simple presence. That's harder to do than it seems, isn't it?
Sure is. Sure is.
Okay, so question 7. What would you like other people who have limited speech and their families to know?
Nice and slow and big breath. Nice and loud.
Believe
Okay, a bit louder than that so people can hear.
Believe that we understand everything you say. It's not our brain, but our bodies that need continuous prompting. Start slowly with whatever communication method you use. Parents, don't keep asking questions as to why we do things. It's not a right to interrogate us.
Interrogate us, yeah.
We will open up when we feel comfortable. This may result in some dysregulation as I feel uncomfortable. I have to dig deep in when writing about myself.
Yeah. Good go.
Yeah,
That's all right. Okay.
Amazing.
All right.
Thank you.
Right.
I think that's a really interesting point just to elaborate on briefly. I can imagine, it's so amazing to be able to communicate more fully that it's very tempting to ask a lot of questions. And it could be really overwhelming, such as, you know, why do you do this? Why don't you look at me? Why? Yeah.
Yeah. And plus too, you can't start that off because they are open questions.
Exactly.
And it's quite a structured process that you need to go through. But when you do become open, it's not the right to interrogate. And quite often what I would do is I would weave in a particular question into a lesson that I was doing. Like, for instance, I was did a lesson on technology and Wi-Fi, and basically was because I wanted to know what kind of why they're so obsessed with technology and stuff, and would there be any kind of, what advice would you give to parents about other things that their child could do, which in actual fact I was actually getting ideas of what Declan would think about doing instead of using technology. So rather than saying, what do you want? I kind of weaved it into, what advice would you give to other parents? So it was kind of, yeah, just a way of kind of finding out from him without directly asking him. As he said, he needs to really dig deep to talk about himself. And that's when the dysregulation can come in. So it's like when I first meet you, why is your hair brown? Why do you do this? Why, you know, we don't as you know, as humans, ask those questions to anyone that we just kind of meet, or even family members. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? So as he says, it's not a right to interrogate. And when they feel ready, they will answer. And sometimes they actually don't even know themselves why they do things. Like us all, you know, we don't always know why we do stuff in that moment. So it's just trusting that when they're ready, they will tell us, and they may not. And we have to also accept that they have a right as individuals to either tell us or not. Just because we're their parent, we don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Even from my neurotypical who's 20, it's like, there's only certain things he's going to tell me.
Yeah, of course. It's all about respect and two-way communication, isn't it? Whatever that happens to look like.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But it's actually very important to remember that and be reminded.
And just
showing we get caught up in our own neuroses and
just showing them the respect as an individual, that, you know, okay, well, if you don't want to answer that, that's absolutely fine, you know, and so they then trust you more, you know, to not keep pushing and pushing, and when they're ready, they will potentially answer. And it's just a matter of rephrasing it so it doesn't sound like an interrogation. And that is how I learnt, by preparing lessons and asking his opinion on something, or advice that he would give other parents, or whatever the lesson was about. That's when I started to kind of find out how he thought and what he liked and disliked. But now we can ask him directly and he'll tell us.
Yeah, it's building the muscle of that type of communication.
That's right. Yeah.
Approaching it in a way that's empowering to the individual.
We were at his, because underneath they actually do have a sense of humor, and we were at his acupuncturist, and I take the letterboard with us when we go to appointments, and he checks in with the practitioner, or even the dentist or whatever. And the acupuncturist said to him at the end, so do you think next time maybe I can put another needle in? And he spelled, don't push your luck.
Yeah.
And the acupuncturist just laughed, and I went, fair enough, absolutely. So, you know, under this exterior where you may not think there's much going on there, he can be quite bushy.
I bet.
Okay, we're going to keep going. Yeah.
Oh, so do we think that we're up for spelling some answers out live? Or,
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Mhm. Okay, do you want to read that first question about the Asperger's? That one?
yeah, I was wondering whether you prefer, Declan, to refer to yourself as someone with autism or someone who is autistic, or perhaps something completely different. Mhm.
Right, yeah. Prefer to be.
Because
Yeah.
Declan
Who
lives
lives. Keep going. With, yeah. Yeah. With. Autism. Put that.
I
I
am
am.
Declan.
Yeah.
First
First, yeah.
and
And twice now, foremost. I'm Declan first and foremost.
Mum.
Yeah.
Autism. And
Yeah, there's secondary.
Secondary.
So he's Declan first and foremost, his autism is secondary.
Yeah, I love that. You are yourself, most importantly.
Yeah.
And then there's, like everyone, you have various aspects to your experience of life. And that's just one of them. Cool. And then I also wanted to ask, apart from RPM, which obviously helps you to communicate, which must be great for reducing frustration levels, I was wondering what other activities you like to do that help you to regulate and feel more in control of your body.
Yeah. Exercise, yeah. And spending.
Time in nature.
Yeah. And music.
Which
I love.
10:34.
Yeah, soon.
We're running out of time. So exercise.
A little bit, Declan. Are you okay if we go to 11 o'clock? Is that okay? And then you can go back. Yeah? Is that okay? Yes, okay. So we've got to 11.
So there's exercise. I missed the middle thing, and music.
Yeah, exercise, spending time in nature, and music.
Oh, yes, spending time in nature. Yeah, amazing.
What's this sort of?
Yeah, you'll get a snack when we're finished.
Do you have is it okay to ask one more?
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite type of music, or what kind of music do you like, Declan?
Pop, yeah. And yeah. What's that word? What's that word?
Classical.
Pop and classical.
Pop
Yeah.
and classical. Nice. And do you sing or play an instrument?
I sing a lot.
You sing a lot. I love that. Does singing feel quite different from speaking? I wonder.
Yeah. Do you want to explain to Kirsty? Because a lot of people will ask, how come they know all the nursery rhymes and all the words of songs, but yet they can't talk to me, they can't have a conversation. So Declan, can you explain to Kirsty why that is? Okay, all right. So why, as a youngster, you were able to recite nursery rhymes and songs, but you weren't able to talk to Dad or I or Ronan. So can you explain that to people, why that is?
Because
Yeah.
but
The words.
don't check.
The words don't change. And in a song. Yeah, or what's that word?
Nursery
Yeah. What's that word?
rhyme.
And tell why does it you struggle with the conversation? Because
It's
so yeah. See, there you go. It's so unpredictable and
I never. No. What? That's was bad.
Ask. It's so unpredictable and I don't know what that person may ask.
It's so many unknowns, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's it's hard for them unless you have a method like this where you can prompt, just being able to communicate that way. But to put Declan in a situation where he didn't have that support would just be so stressful for him. Like many others with Declan calls it his autism because it's such a spectrum, as you mentioned, that it seems a bit unfair that someone that's able to hold down a job and have a degree and drive has got the same diagnosis to someone like Declan. So I'm not quite sure why they got rid of the Asperger's label in the spectrum. But,
yeah, I was interested in your take on that because it's become almost trendy to have an autism diagnosis. And it's such a wide range, and it's comes not meaningless because there's common threads that tie it together. But as you say, your experience, Declan, is so different. Even, for example, to my younger son is diagnosed with ASD, and he has minimal motor issues. So it's a totally different experience. It's just that's what it's labelled as in the DSM. And there's some commonalities like the sensory thing, emotional overload, these types of situations. But I think it's important to acknowledge that it is a very different experience to struggle with dyspraxia. It affects your life so much, doesn't it?
It sure does, doesn't it, Declan? Makes it nice and tall.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that live demonstration. I think we all know, probably everyone listening knows that that communication is very real, but there is skepticism from some people about these methods. But we don't care about those people. We want to reach the people who want to use it and want to communicate and
that's the struggle that you have, is that a lot of people say it's not research, but it's not research based. But how can you not credit what he's just done, you know? And people, when they first see it, but you know, and that's why you never hold their hand, you know, because they think that you're guiding them. Initially they would hold a pencil and would use it to point to the stencil, but you know, once you see it, you can't unsee that. And why do you need research when he's been able to effectively communicate with you? He doesn't need some research paper to actually demonstrate that. So yeah. And you know, there are always going to be naysayers.
Yeah.
And Declan once say, that's not my job to convince them. If that's their journey, that's what they want to believe, then that's okay. But yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, don't waste your energy, but the more people that can be reached who could benefit from this,
Yeah,
obviously, the better.
Yeah, it's just finding you know, it's not easy, Kirsty.
I bet.
It was really hard, and because he was that much older and going through puberty, all those other factors came into play when we were trying to get this communication up and running. And there were days where, you know, head banging and pulling hair and all sorts of things. But as I said, you know, I was determined to give him a voice. And, you know, yeah, to me, it's just what you do as a parent, is, you know, give your children the best opportunities in life, and a way to communicate. Because unfortunately in this world, if you can't communicate, then you're left behind. So yeah. Yeah.
And I always think it's one of the trickiest things about parenting is knowing when and how much to push through frustration and in sight of a bigger goal, and when to back off. And it does require discernment, doesn't it? Just
Yeah.
moment to moment.
Absolutely, and tenacity to keep going. Because there were some days I'd go, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And then you kind of go, actually, no, we can, and we can do this, you know. And yeah, you just keep going. You just keep going. And we're not finished yet, you know. Our goal is for Declan to be able to use more speech and do more, have more independence. You know, it's learning those life skills. It's coaching. He knows what to do. It's just getting his body to do it. It's like going into the shower. Okay, you need to turn it on. You need to check the water, you know, and just constantly prompting. So then eventually it just becomes a natural thing. Where neurotypical kids, you normally really only have to show maybe once or twice, maybe. Don't know. That's what it was like with Ronan. He was a quick learner, but I guess he probably had to be, because he could see what I was coping with Declan, and there's only 13 months between them. So he kind of grew up quite quickly, you know, being able to do things for himself. But it's just that constant prompting, that kind of, you know, okay, now Declan's able to empty the dishwasher on his own. He's able to lay the table. He comes and helps me put the rubbish out. You know, we're learning the skills of making his bed, you know, those kind of things. Just needs that constant until that motor is so ingrained, he will know exactly what to do.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder to have patience, because, you know, I know, Declan, you're working really hard to get those things done, and so it requires patience from those around you. And it's a good reminder for those of us with autistic children or who do speak, because sometimes that almost makes us overestimate what they should be capable of. And we have some of the similar themes. Like, I know my son can dress himself, but every day we have to get dressed together.
Yeah.
And it's very slow.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it takes a lot of repetition, and it takes similar thing. He knows he can do it, but he would need my help. He would prefer my help. It's much easier.
And it's that security that they're not going to get it wrong, because essentially they're perfectionists. You know, they hate making mistakes. You know, when Declan was doing online Takura correspondence work, and we would have little quizzes and that, if he got one wrong, oh my God, there was all hell broke loose, and we'd have to go back and redo it until he got 100%.
We do quizzes as well. Luckily, a lot of these computer programs now, you can just hit back. You can go back and do it again.
Do it again. But that's the perfectionist in them. You know, they have to have everything right. And it's our jobs, I guess, as parents, is to learn, actually, it's okay to make mistakes. We wouldn't be human if we didn't make mistakes. And it is okay. And as long as they're not major mistakes that are going to affect, you know, other people, or, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's how we learn.
Yeah, it is. And that takes practice as well. And it's
just
a role modeling, being okay with getting it wrong.
I still make mistakes, believe you me, you know. And thinking, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing enough? And I think as parents, we kind of go, could I be doing more? But Declan has this innate kind of ability to know when people are genuinely wanting to help him. We had several teacher aides who were just there to do a job. And he knew that. Or didn't play ball quite often. And I'd get phone calls from the school and all the rest of it. And they would stand in front of him and speak about him to me, about what a terrible day he had, instead of coming out and telling me what the good day he had. And, you know, imagine someone talking in front of you saying, oh, she didn't do this, or she didn't do that. And, oh my God, she had a meltdown or whatever. That actually affects them quite deeply. But of course, because he wasn't able to tell us, people didn't think there was anything going on.
Yeah, that's right. It is really an awful thing to be spoken about as if you're not there. Yeah.
And with our kids, their senses are heightened. Like, his ability to hear on the next room or the other side of the house is incredible. Like, I'd be having a conversation with someone and I would hear from the you know, the other end of the house, that little know something. Like, oh my God, you heard that.
Yeah,
just their ability, and you know, what we experience, whether it's sharp sounds or roadworks or whatever, it's magnified at least 1,000 times for these guys. So we just have to be mindful.
Yeah, that's very true. And there's a lot of input. I think it's not always easy to discern exactly what the overwhelm is. I mean, I find that even for myself. And so if I'm feeling overwhelmed, you know, the tiniest irritation can then be.
It's that.
And so if you magnify that, then it's a lot.
It's, you know, like the spoon analogy, that, you know, you get so many spoons a day, and it might take you 2 spoons to get out of bed, and then another spoon to eat breakfast, and then you've got to catch the bus to work. And by the time you've got to work and sat at your desk, you've used 8 of those spoons. And then you've only got another 2 spoons to get you through the day. And it could be just what someone said something, or someone did something that could just knock you over, and you go, you look at them, you know, 10 minutes. You look and go, where did that come from? But it will be that little gradual kind of build, and that would happen, you know, rushing out to get them to school, and getting them dressed, and getting them in the car seat, and getting them to school. And he'd get in all right, and then a child might have pushed him or brushed past him or whatever, and then that was it. there would be a meltdown, and you go, where did that come from? But not realizing that he was trying to keep it together, you know, while he was getting ready for school or rushing out the door. Yeah. So it's a tricky one.
It is. Yeah, it's such an important awareness to have, that the specific thing that seems to be the trigger may not be the most important thing. It's
Right. Yeah.
It's just the last one. It's the straw that breaks the proverbial camel's back. It happens to be the noise, or the shoes, or the tag on the shirt, or
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, wearing hats and complying with shoes at school and all sorts of things. It was a bit of a challenge, but
shoes are a contentious issue in our home. We do as much shoe-free time as possible, which is great anyway.
It is good. Yeah.
But there's certain scenarios where shoes are required.
But you've also got to remember that this time will pass. If I thought about when Declan first got diagnosed at 2 to where we are now, I would never have believed that we could have got this far. And yes, as a mum, I wish we were that much further, but that's just the way it is, and things happen when they're meant to happen, and you can't rush this. It's a process, and as long as you're able to give them the right tools and the support and the love that they need, then they will flourish in their own time.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the things I really notice is just if you just relax, relatively speaking.
Yeah, they're so sensitive that they pick up on your energy as well.
Yeah.
So if you're fragile, then yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah, 7 minutes. Yeah, you're doing really well. So anything else, Kirsty, that you
thinking if there's anything else specific we want to cover. We can post links in the description for people about how to find out more.
I can send you, absolutely.
About RPM, or about other modes of assisted communication.
Yeah, you're okay. And Declan has an Instagram page. We did originally call it autism.lad, but he's decided that he wants to be referred to his name with Declan Lavery, living with autism. So as he said before, he's Declan foremost, as autism comes secondary. So there's some cool posts on that of our recent holiday in Ireland last year, and in Italy for your 21st birthday. That was pretty cool. You're okay. You're okay. And you breathe, please. Sitting up nice and tall. That's it. Yeah. And again. And again. Sitting up nice and tall. Good man. And some poetry is written, and just kind of sharing his thoughts.
Amazing. Yeah. So if you're happy to share that,
I'll do that.
I'm sure some people will be interested in following. I'm very behind the times. I actually opened an Instagram account because someone told me that Instagram's where it's at, and then with the young people.
Yeah.
And I promptly never signed in and forgot my password. So I might have to set up a new account so I can follow you, Declan.
Yeah. And apparently TikTok's now the thing, but I haven't got my head around that. So I think
I don't think I can go that far. I can probably manage Instagram, but not TikTok.
I'm the same. Yeah. So okay.
Amazing. So we can more or less wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on and bringing your time and your precious energy. Thank you to both of you. Thank you so much for doing some live spelling, Declan. I think it's so powerful for people to see.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
What's that word? Yeah, you can say it.
Opportunity.
What was that word? Yeah. Is great
to
Awareness.
Mm.
You're okay. Breathe off. You're okay. You're doing great. You're doing great. Hey, you're doing great. Sitting up nice and tall. Yes, you're doing great. It is great to get awareness. What's that word?
Off.
Of
Mm. Yes.
this.
Communication.
Communication.
Little time that is indeed.
Tool. Yeah. Great to get awareness for this communication tool.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, thank you both
Don't
much. And for the listeners, yeah, please check out the links that we'll share if you're interested in finding out more. And take care. Bye for now.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye, Kirsty. Declan.
Bye.
Bye, Kirsty. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.